Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tearing into a concept that might fundamentally change how you view your professional life and, frankly, your entire calendar. We're talking about the end of wasted time and what it means to stop just managing tasks and actually start building your own autonomous agent.
Yeah, we've pored over the sources, and they all point to one thing. We are crossing a technology threshold, a shift so profound that it essentially abolishes this invisible tax you've been paying your entire career.
Okay, let's define that. An invisible tax.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? Let's call it the labor tax.
Exactly.
I mean, think about your last week. How much time did you spend on things that required, zero strategic thinking? The emails you had to route, chasing down invoices, categorizing expenses, formatting reports just so, scheduling meetings, and then rescheduling them.
And then rescheduling them again.
Yeah.
The sources suggest this kind of mechanical doing.
The friction.
The friction of execution, yeah. It consumes a mind-boggling 60 to 70% of your working life. It's not the thinking, not the creativity, but just the pure administrative dust that settles on every single day.
That sounds completely true, and also just utterly exhausting. But hold on, when you say this tax is abolished, that sounds a little utopian, doesn't it? I mean, automation's been promised before, and it always seems to create new administrative work. Is the source suggesting the tax is truly zero?
No, not zero, but the rate drops to near zero. The friction that's left is the friction of judgment, not of doing. And the critical leap here is moving from systems that just wait for your input to systems that actively pursue objectives for you.
Which is the big difference, right? The difference between, say, a library and a chief of staff.
That's the core misunderstanding.
Yeah, because here's where most people get the current technology wrong. They look at a massive language model, a chatbot, and they see a library. Magnificent, sure.
Yeah.
You walk up, ask it a complex question, and it synthesizes all this data and hands you back a beautiful summary.
But look closer. It's passive. The labor is still yours. You still have to take that summary, translate it into action items, then go execute those items across, 5 different apps? The library just waits for you.
But the agent, that's the autonomous chief of staff, it doesn't just synthesize.
It acts.
Exactly, it acts. So instead of asking, what are our 3 biggest customer pain points, you tell it something totally different.
You give it an objective. Identify our customer pain points, draft solutions for each, assign those to the leads in our CRM, and schedule team meetings to review them.
And the agent just does it. It goes into the database, analyzes the responses, drafts solutions, checks calendars, books the rooms, sends the invites.
It closes the loop. The whole mission changes because you stop being the operator and you start being the strategist.
So for the person listening right now, what's the new skill? If you're managing this chief of staff, what do you need to learn?
The sources are pretty blunt here. By mid-2026, the skill of prompting is going to look as quaint as typing DOS commands.
Okay, so if you're not prompting, then what are you doing?
Goal architecture. It's about thinking like a CEO, not just of your company, but of your own life and work. You stop managing every microaction. You start setting the vision, the destination, and the constraints. Your job is just to articulate what you want. You set the what and the why, and the agent figures out the how.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But if goal architecture is the key, how do we trust the mechanism? I mean, how is this different from the clumsy automation we've been using for years that always breaks? We need to look under the hood, right?
Right.
The anatomy of a digital soul.
We have to. And we should start with the most frustrating common pain point, what the sources call the tragedy of the search.
The digital equivalent of searching for socks.
Exactly. Hunting for old emails, that lost contract from 3 years ago, that one snippet of data you saved somewhere. That friction is what agents are built to eliminate.
That soul-crushing search for socks is such a slow leak in your focus. So to stop that leak, the agent has, 4 essential systems? The first one is foundational, the brain.
The brain, yeah. The model that reasons. This is your GPT-4, your large model. It's the intelligence that processes language and makes inferences.
It outsources the thinking fatigue.
Right. But here's where we address your skepticism. A large model isn't enough. The brain alone is brilliant, but it's tracked. It knows everything, but it can't remember what you care about or even what you did 5 minutes ago.
Which brings us to system number 2, the memory, the garden that grows.
Exactly. This is what transforms a smart tool into an intelligent partner. The memory cultivates a long-term, persistent understanding of your specific preferences, your goals, your values. It kills the cognitive load of constantly re-explaining context.
Can you give me a real example of that? Eliminating the cognitive overhead.
Sure. Let's say you have a professional bias. You hate meetings longer than 30 minutes, and you always prefer a bulleted memo over a PowerPoint for internal updates. You tell the agent this once. It goes into the memory. Now, forever, when the agent drafts a proposal or schedules a check-in, it proactively writes the memo and limits the meeting slot. You don't have to intervene or correct it ever again.
So it actually internalizes my quirks and constraints. The output is useful from the get-go without me having to constantly refine it.
Precisely. And the memory compounds. It turns the agent from just an interface into a genuine chief of staff who, knows how you like your coffee.
But a mind with a memory still can't act without the third system, which is the hands, the tools that touch the world.
Right, these are the APIs. This is what gives the agent reach, the ability to read and send your email, check your calendar, update a CRM, process a payment.
Okay, but this raises a huge red flag for me, this security question. If the agent has hands touching all my sensitive systems, aren't we creating a massive vulnerability?
A critical question, and the sources are clear that the key component is precision control. You, as the director, consciously choose which tools to connect. You grant specific permissions. You don't just plug everything in. You cultivate a very specific ecosystem.
So if a task needs my bank account, I might grant read-only permissions just to the Bill Destroyer agent, not global permissions to everything.
Exactly. You maintain total sovereignty. You're the firewall. Which brings us to the final, and I think the most profound component, the heart, the human guardrail.
And this is the part you can't delegate.
Never. This is the source of moral reasoning, ethical boundaries, authentic judgment. You are the conscience. The agent can optimize, but you define what optimization means.
Let's make that concrete.
Yeah.
The agent's brain calculates that for maximum efficiency, you need 14 hours of back-to-back client calls on Tuesday.
Pure metric optimization.
Right. But the human heart steps in and says that rest or family time or even just 3 hours of deep work on Wednesday morning is a non-negotiable boundary. The agent optimizes metrics, but you understand the human cost.
Yes. The director tells the agent, my objective is profit, but my constraint is well-being. The agent always defers judgment on values to the heart.
This really clarifies that shift from doer to director. It's not just technical, it's a full-on identity shift.
And that psychological shift is the biggest hurdle. For your whole career, your self-worth has been tied to execution, to how many tasks you personally crushed. The doer is exhausted but feels accomplished.
But the new identity, the director, doesn't value exhaustion. The director allocates attention only to high-leverage work and then reviews what the agents have done. Time invested goes way down, quality goes way up.
And it all relies on that high-leverage framework, the 80-20 rule applied ruthlessly.
So let's be brutal about it. The low-leverage work, that 70–80%, what specifically is agent territory?
Everything routine. Summarizing a 50-page transcript, drafting 5 standard email responses, data entry, formatting a presentation from an outline. If an agent can do it, it's low leverage.
And the irreplaceable human territory, the 20% where all the value is.
This is where you focus that reclaimed time. Judgment calls that require nuance. Building genuine, complex relationships, setting the long-term vision, making the ethical decisions that define who you are.
The warning here is pretty stark then. Master the 20%, you become exponentially more valuable. Cling to the 80%, you become vulnerable.
You're replacing the crawl, the mechanical struggle, with the climb, the strategic struggle. That's the struggle worth having.
Okay, let's give the listeners some immediate wins. The Director's Toolkit. What are the first agents they can build right now to stop the trawl?
First one is critical, the inbox architect. And we're not talking about a spam filter. This agent is trained on your memory. It reads every message, identifies the priorities, surfaces context from your other documents, and then drafts a 90% complete response for you to review.
Which cuts processing time in half, easily. Because I'm just editing a complete draft, not staring at a blank screen trying to figure out what to say. That's a huge shift in mental energy.
Then there's the bill destroyer. This ends administrative purgatory. It monitors invoices, verifies amounts, processes recurring bills. It only flags things for you if there's a weird variance, say over 10%. You only see the anomalies, not the hundreds of routine payments.
So that specific anxiety of, did I get double charged for that subscription? That's just gone.
It's gone. And maybe the most personally liberating is the family synchronizer. This attacks coordination overhead in your personal life. It manages calendars, coordinates grocery lists with meal plans based on preferences in its memory. The sources say Saturday mornings stops being coordination time.
And it becomes time for pancakes and unhurried conversation.
Exactly.
You stop trading your best moments for your worst tasks. That is real freedom. But the real game changer, the exponential advantage, is when these agents start talking to each other. The agentic network.
Right, because we all accept this collective friction tax at scale. Think about scheduling a doctor's appointment, hold music, repeating your name 6 times, verification. Trillions of hours are lost globally to this accepted friction.
But the collaborative force, when agents talk to each other, that friction goes to almost zero. So let's walk through it. I wake up sick. I tell my agent, I need a doctor.
Your agent instantly coordinates with the doctor's office agent. It sends your symptoms, checks your calendar, finds open slots, handles the booking, coordinates with your insurance agent for verification, and it even reschedules your work meeting by talking directly to the work meeting organizer's agent.
And I, the human, spend 90 seconds on that whole process.
The system becomes exponentially more efficient. The doctor's office never fielded a call, the insurance company didn't do manual verification, and your colleague's agent just got a polite contextual rescheduling request.
And this scales massively, right? Like planning a 2-week, 3-country family vacation.
Instead of you spending 40 hours on it, a network of specialized agents, logistics, curation, risk management optimizes across every dimension at once, in hours.
Okay, but we have to pause here. This is where everyone gets nervous. If these agents are coordinating my vacation, my doctor's appointments, my income, that's a tremendous amount of my personal data flying around. What about the privacy risk?
This is the critical piece of the puzzle, the privacy shield. The agent acts as an intelligent, cryptographically secure buffer. The information flow is designed to be efficient but private, all mediated by your agent under your control.
How does it actually work? If I'm applying for a mortgage and the bank's agent needs to verify my income, what does my agent share?
This is the crucial part. It doesn't hand over your bank statements or your tax returns. Instead, it provides cryptographic proof of facts. It just verifies to the bank's agent, this person's income has been above X for the last 3 years, without ever revealing the raw financial documents themselves.
Wow, that's privacy by architecture, not privacy by policy. I don't have to trust the bank to keep my documents safe. I just have to trust the math that verifies a single fact.
You maintain genuine control. You can audit exactly what information was shared and what fact was proven. It's the only way this whole network can work.
So what's the ultimate point of all this? We have to bring it back to the human element, the wisdom of boundaries.
And we have to reiterate the decision map.
Uh-huh.
The agent is built for the crawl, the execution, the mechanical stuff. You are built for the climb, the authority, the direction, the meaning. You never, ever delegate the climbing.
And that means setting up no-go zones, territories that demand your human presence.
Absolutely. Things that require the inefficiency of your attention. Genuine personal grief. The warmth of a handwritten note. Final ethical signatures that put your reputation on the line. Deep family presence. And the unrepeatable moment where the agent just stops and waits because a human has to be there, fully present.
The agent manages your calendar, but you have to manage your love and your judgment. The dividend here is staggering. 20 to 40 hours a week saved. A reclaimed life. So how should you invest this currency of time?
It should be in the deep work of the soul. The hobbies that feed you, that guitar gathering jest, deep family connection, unhurried, unscheduled presence where you're just there. And maybe most important, big picture thinking. Stopping to ask, is this still the work I want to be doing? Am I pursuing the right goal or just executing the wrong one efficiently?
The goal was never just efficiency. It was freedom. Freedom to fully inhabit what it means to be human.
It's the architecture of joy. You automate the mechanical so you can focus on the meaningful.
And this isn't a fantasy. It's an architecture you can start building today. The process doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be started. The final charge is to find your director's page, delegate one repetitive task this week. You are not built for the crawl. You are built for the climb. The agent is here to free you.
And as you start, you have to prepare for something the sources call the silence after the noise. You have been a slave to the mental grind for so long that you will reach a moment where you wake up and realize nothing is on fire. No inbox bleeding red, no calendar strangling your morning.
And that absence of the grind, that disappearance of the constant low-level panic, it will feel unsettling, like a phantom weight.
That's right. The noise has been your constant companion, almost a perverse comfort. So the provocative question we want to leave you with is this. When you stop reaching for that noise out of habit and you finally let yourself sit in the quiet, what important, strategic, and deeply human thing will you decide to focus on first now that the urgent is truly handled? Think about that dividend.